colors.
Hey, thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. On today's review, we take a look at the Storm Collectibles New York Comic Con exclusive Mortal Kombat Smoke. Today, I'll be reviewing this figure in 6 categories: accessories, articulation, design, is it essential to your collection, functionality, and price. Once all scores are totaled, I'll give you my opinion if this figure is a pass or a purchase. So for accessories, Smoke actually comes with more than I originally thought. When I looked into the package is a bit blurred. It didn't seem like he came with a lot. So let's start from the left and work our way down. So Smoke comes with 2 smoke effect pieces, which are done in a translucent gray and white. And this piece is okay. It's nothing spectacular. Smoke comes with 4 pair of hands, if you count the 2 that are on the figure, and the hands are done well enough. Smoke comes with a bomb, which is part of his fatality. I just noticed that it's actually, the tip is painted red, as if it's a lit fuse, so that's pretty cool. Smoke also comes with 4 bombs, and the color on these are very clean. No bleeding into other areas. The black is where it should be. The silver is where it should be. Smoke comes with a spare, and it looks a bit cheap. This looks like something that would come with a action figure that doesn't cost as much. And it would have been cool if this had bendy wire. Unfortunately, it does not. So this is the position that this will stay in. And even if you manage to stretch it a bit, it will go right back to its original form. And you receive the other part of the fatality. If I remember correctly, the bomb actually goes here. And then the person that Smoke is fighting is sort of force-fed the bomb. And we receive only 1 head sculpt. The head sculpt looks good. Again, the paint applications are very clean. So for accessories, we are clearly missing more than 1 head sculpt. It would have been cool to have a damaged or cracked mass version. However, we do receive a decent amount of accessories. And for accessories, I'm going to give Smoke an 8 out of 10. So for articulation, the head is able to look up about that much, all the way down. Great amount of pivot as well as rotation. So the 2 flaps here do not move. The arm itself is able to extend out about that much, limited by this flap. And the arm, you can rotate it a full 360. There are butterfly joints, bending in that much, bending outwards that much. There's an upper bicep cut. You get rotation. Also, the arm is able to rotate that way as well. The elbows are double jointed, bending in that much. You're able to rotate the wrist, and they're able to hinge up and down and side to side as long as you find the right angle. So now with the torso is able to, well, it only appears that there's singular movement in the torso. Actually, it's not. Okay, so there is a higher and lower part. So part A, part B. So with the upper part, you barely get any movement back. You get a little movement forward. You do, however, get a great amount of rotation. Using the 2 in conjunction, you can turn a full 360 if you choose to. He's able to lean backwards about that much, forward about that much. and then you get excellent pivot. So now moving on to the legs, he's able to do a full 360. The legs are able to kick this much forward, that much backwards. You do have upper rotation. Knees are double jointed, bending in about that much. No rotation at the boot. You do have rotation, it's a weird rotation. Here goes Storm Collectibles with these ankles again. So, as you see, I'm attempting to turn it left and right, and as I do, it's pivoting. So this really bothers me about the ankles, and I'm sure that the articulation here for the pivot is going to be very limited. So let's just start with the outside. It's able to go out that much. It's a bit better than I expected. And the inside, so you get a great amount of pivot on the inside. The only thing is that it's on an angle. Hey, but it's better than what we've gotten from some other Storm Collectibles. Now, what I don't understand is they continue to use this ball hinge, but it's just always seems like it's in the wrong position. I'm trying to move mine around to align it a bit different. I am not having any luck with that. So you do have toe articulation, bending up that much. The foot is able to go up that much as well as down that much. So the articulation is pretty solid. Much better than the Scorpion from Mortal Kombat 3. Not as good as Sagat. So for overall articulation, I'm going to give Smoke an 8 out of 10. So Storm Collectibles decided to use a metallic purple. One of the things that I noticed is that the upper portion, especially on the torso, seems to have a bit more shimmer. However, when you come to this area right here, it almost appears as if it's two different colors of purple, and I can't tell for sure if it is. The blacks are all done in a matte finish. And one thing that I can say about this figure is that it really doesn't look like armor. But I also remember that for the game, so I won't be subtracting points for that. The helmet is done well. It's also done in a metallic silver, but it doesn't appear as shiny as this version of silver here. But Storm Collectibles absolutely got it right. Here are the 3 tentacles that they have in the back. So it's done well. I think for me, I'm just a bit ninja tired out from Storm Collectibles. So for overall design, I'm going to give Smoke a 10 out of 10. So is Smoke essential to your collection? Well, let's look at 2 of the ninjas that precede him. Sub-Zero and Scorpion. If I had to put those on tiers, they would be tier 1 characters as far as Mortal Kombat is concerned. Tier 2, maybe I can throw in Noob Saibot. Maybe I can throw in the non-robotic version of Smoke as tier 2. So now to have an entirely new version of Smoke, I feel that he's kind of dropped to tier 3. There are so many characters in Mortal Kombat that I would have preferred to have over the robotic version of Smoke. And being that I've already have Smoke in his ninja form, I'm going to say that as far as this being essential to your collection, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So for functionality, let's start with the head. I love when Storm Collectibles gives us figures to where the neck moves on its own as well as the head. In this case, it does not. The neck is mounted to the torso, so it's not able to move on its own. However, you still get a good amount of range with the head, and it's even able to look up about that much. So moving on to the shoulder area, it's made out of a softer plastic. However, I wish this would have somehow been mounted maybe to the shoulder I can see how that could have screwed up the design some, but it would have been good to have this completely get out of the way. I love the butterfly joints. They really work well and helps the figure to get into some much needed posing. So going to the chest area, these two flaps open, and you're able to attach the spare that he comes with right into this hole. So that's pretty cool. Even though it's not heavy, no, actually it's standing up pretty well. Okay, so that's pretty good. And we're just going to close that up, and I want to lift the arms for one moment. So you get two smoke effect pieces. I believe they mount something similar to this. So there are no tabs on the inside here, nor areas for this to kind of plug into. So I'm assuming that it just freely sits along the line, something like this. And this side here appears to stay in place much better than this side here. If you fold the arms or pull the arms down, then it definitely holds much better. And though I'm not ecstatic to how this looks, I'm pretty cool with the idea, which is what I think Storm Collectibles is going for, is for Smoke to have the smoke coming off of his body as it does in the game. But once you start posing it, then these pieces start to fall off. So the engineering process could have been a lot better with this, to have it plug in place or just hold more securely. Also in the game, one of his fatalities, well, let's see how easy this goes back on. Okay, it snaps back in place very easily. So as I was saying, in the game, one of his fatalities is that he would have these bombs fall out of his chest and they would explode. It sucks that there isn't a storage option to hold these in place so that at least one would be able to roll out of his chest. So moving on to another fatality accessory. Let's start with this. So this portion is able to bend down like so. As you see, there are 4 areas which you'll use to plug into the portion of his shoulder. I don't remember if this fitted on the right or left in the game. So being that it's an opening on both sides, I'm simply going to attach it here. Okay, so now we're going to open this, let's just call it a claw. And we're going to plug the bomb effect in and just squeeze it like so. Let me zoom out for a moment. And that's pretty cool. So for the hands, they come off simple enough. And there you go. Very easy to do so. Coming down to the legs for a moment, it looks as if the boot is able to turn, but it is not. And this is one of those figures to where I feel that we should have had articulation at the boot. So for the stand test, Smoke stands very easily on its own. He's a bit top heavy, so sometimes you have to leverage him a little bit forward. But this is him standing all on his own. So for functionality, I like the fact that the chest opens. I like the smoked effect piece that attaches to his side. I wish that it looked better, and I wish that it held in place a little bit better as well. In the legs, I feel that we could have had some extra range of movement if we would have had rotation at the boot. Also, I didn't talk about the pivot. I just wish that it wasn't on this angle. Just wish that it was able to turn sort of in a straight line, but it is not. So for overall functionality, I don't know, Storm Collectibles, they just go forward, they go backwards. This figure is somewhere in the middle. So for overall functionality, I'm going to give Smoke a 7 out of 10. So for pricing, Smoke comes in at $75, and that's before taxes and or shipping. Being that I was able to pick him up at New York Comic Con, I eluded paying shipping. However, I did have to pay taxes. Throw in roughly $5 for taxes, and you're looking at a price point of 80 bucks. So now, is he worth the price of admission? Well, first, let's see what he comes with. He comes with a decent amount of accessories. For this price point, I always want an additional head sculpt. In this case, we did not get it. There are some positives with his overall articulation, and there are some drawbacks, which just seems to be the thing with Storm Collectibles. Functionality, the parts that he comes with, the majority of them work well with this figure. I really wish that there was some way to have the bomb stored somehow in his chest. That would have added more of a wow factor. So for me, the biggest thing that I'm going to really look at when it comes to pricing for this figure is that it's an increase over the original Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which I want to say when they first were released was at a price point of $55. This figure has about a 20% increase on that. And the issue that I have, I feel like when any company is going to essentially give you the same version of a character. So with the robotic ninjas, if I'm not mistaken, you have Smoke, you have Cyrax, you have, was it Ermac? And maybe one more. My feeling towards that, if we're going to get the same mold, pricing should then be a little bit cheaper than a figure that has an original mold. So for pricing, I'm going to give Smoke a 7 out of 10, which should bring me to an overall cliff score of 47 out of 60. So now is Smoke a pass or a purchase? So far, I have purchased all the figures that Storm Collectibles have come out with in their Mortal Kombat line. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Smoke does not feel like a figure that I have to own. If you are on a budget or simply trying to thin your collection, then in my opinion, this is a pass. If you're a completionist and you want to add every single Mortal Kombat character, then of course for you, it's a purchase. So at this moment, for the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat line, I am a completionist, and for that reason only, this is a purchase for me. Here's Smoke standing on his own. Here's Smoke next to Cyrax, which I will be reviewing immediately after this review. Here's Scorpion from Mortal Kombat 3, which I have already reviewed. Someone brought to my attention during this review that I forgot to show the elbow articulation. So I just want to show it here very quickly. So it is a single jointed elbow, only bending in about that much. And last but not least is Kyle from King of Fighters, which I should be reviewing soon. So thank you for tuning in to Mr. Clip's Toy Shop. I hope to catch you during the next review.